This is Real Estate Real Talk, a weekly podcast about real estate industry news that actually matters, hosted by some of the industry's leading agents. Here are this week's hosts.
Welcome to the Real Estate Real Talk podcast. Our guest today is global keynote speaker and 5-time Hall of Fame inductee, Marki Lemons Ryhal. Marki, welcome. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you became an instructor?
I came into real estate July the 31st, 1999 as a non-licensed loan originator. Crazy thing is I became a licensed real estate broker before I became a licensed loan originator because at the time, licenses were not mandated in the state of Illinois in order to originate a loan. In 2006, I had come out for the third time to serve on the board of directors of the Chicago Association of Realtors, and third time was the charm. However, in 2005, my mentor, Frank Williams, who is a past national fair housing champion, he told me, he said, everyone remembers the name of the person standing at the front of the room. Not only do I believe that you should volunteer more, I believe that you should become a licensed real estate instructor. I became a licensed pre-licensed instructor and a licensed continuing education instructor. And because I had already earned designations and certifications before I became an instructor, then I started teaching all of the credentials that I also had.
So, Marki, as an instructor, what are some of the best or most impactful experiences that you could share with us?
As an instructor, I have actually been in the classroom since 1993. I started with Chicago Public Schools, and once I earned my master's degree in 1996, I started teaching on the collegiate level at the age of 25. What I knew was that I needed to have real-world experiences before I came back to the classroom, and had actually projected that I wouldn't come back until I was 40, but I came back at 36. With that being said, because I teach technology and I don't teach theory, I gave teaching theory up a long time ago. It is when the light bulb goes off. When people realize that they can grow their business with no cost, low cost tools. And because I'm looking at them, I'm staring at their eyes, I know exactly when that light bulb goes off and they realize, oh, I'll be able to implement this in my business. And so I'm consistently seeing how no-cost, low-cost tools can enhance a person's life, especially in an industry that is dominated by women, and this year that number one age being 57. What we are implementing today was not taught when we were in grammar school, high school, college, or grad school. It is all new. And what I encourage real estate agents is it's not you, it's new. There's nothing that could have prepared you for the tools that we're implementing today, and the rate of change moving forward will be faster than the rate of change has ever been in the past.
You obviously have the depth of experience and decades of knowledge, and you've been teaching for so long, and you've been teaching about technology specifically. That's so interesting. So what do you think that is the one piece of technology that has changed real estate the most?
Yes, what is the one piece of technology that has transformed my business? And I know people are not going to believe this. The customer relationship management system. I have always had a spreadsheet or a database, and that spreadsheet, now a customer relationship management system, has served my business well. I've had a six-figure launch. I've actually had a couple of six-figure launches. I have been able to build a seven-figure business based off of having a customer relationship management system. And to use that customer relationship management system every single day has been the most beneficial, consistent tool to my business. But most people don't have one or they don't use it well. And consistency of any tool is what is important. And consistency is a human behavior.
Oh, that's a really useful one. Yeah. It's one where you really get out what you put into it, I think. So then that's looking at the past, looking at the future. What do you see ahead? What do you think biggest changes, the biggest disruptors, the biggest challenges for the real estate industry is going to be?
last week I was on my own podcast, and in that podcast, I interviewed a fellow instructor, and the light bulb went off for me, right? We have now pivoted in 2026 into an answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization world. What I know is that the strategies that I've been teaching licensed real estate professionals for 2 decades is actually showing up bigger this year. And what do I mean by that? If we were to go back to the 2006 profile of buyers and sellers, and I'm 2006, that is when I committed to leveraging social media and technology in my business for the purpose of being found. What I put out in 2006 is still serving my business today. In an answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization world, that means that if you do not have content on the internet, you're not going to be found anywhere. You're not coming up in answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization. They're not going to come over to ChatGPT and miraculously you pop up. Therefore, consistency in putting out content is the new way to be found. And those that have done it consistently, the cost for them to do business moving forward will be less expensive. And I also made a prediction that I believe the cost of leads is going to go up. There are large portals that can now charge more because they are coming up faster, which means they'll generate more leads at a lower cost through answer engine optimization and generative engine optimization than any real estate agent can do alone. The cost of business is going to go up for real estate agents who fail to create content and be in the palm of the hand of the consumer.
I think that's absolutely correct. Consistency is key, without a doubt. So if there's an agent that seems overwhelmed by this, if they're not well versed in technology or social media, what are some tips that you would have for them on how to start?
What's funny is this week I have about 5,000 agents from across the country with 11 MLSs that have registered for an AnyZip program. In the AnyZip program, when I am using ChatGPT or Claude, Perplexity, any of those platforms, I'm feeding it the best information. That means that I'm leveraging tools that I've already paid for as a Realtor member. RPR has a third-party tool called Esri. And Esri is used by 50% of Fortune 500 companies. What I want to encourage real estate agents to do is to go and pull a zip code report from the commercial trade data. Notice I did not say residential. I said commercial trade data. I want to know the consumer like I know the back of my hand. I want to know exactly how to market myself to them. With that data, I am feeding it into my number one favorite tool today. That might change next week, but today. And that number one favorite tool is a tool called Notebook LM. I'm going to create enough content to fuel a 7-figure GCI business inside of Notebook LM. One, because I'm going to have a slide deck, infographic, blog post, prospectus, mind map, quiz. I mean, you name it, a video and a 2-person podcast based on my RPR data. I can give it the hex code to my brand and it will do it in my company colors. So right now, what I am encouraging agents to use is to use the tools in which they've already paid for and then leverage Notebook LM to put out enough content to fuel a 7-figure GCI business. And enough content is going to be 10,660 words of value, keeping in mind that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if a video is filmed at 30 frames per second, then 1 minute of video content is worth 1.8 million words. I put out more video content than my competitors, which is why I'm able to win in lead generation.
I'd like to go more into depth about this prediction that you made about the cost of buying leads going up exponentially. What is your recommendation for the best approach for agents to get leads then?
Well, I believe that all real estate agents should start with the tools that they already have, right? And to build up consistency. Consistency is key, and I'm going to give you an example. My son, Skylar, is a 6th-generation entrepreneur, 2nd-generation realtor. On December the 18th, 2023, he was inconsistent. on December the 19th, 2023, that was the first day of him being consistent in his real estate business, 100% organically. For the past 2 years, Skylar puts out roughly 80 videos per year. 72 of them are faceless. They do not have his face in them. So 90% of his content is a faceless video. He is leveraging a landing page with a call to action. He averages a little bit over 1,700 leads per year. Because he has these systems set up with automation, he's averaged $165,000 per year for the last 2 years. Once you build that level of consistency, now is the time to then look at what your ad spend is going to be. And when we start thinking about ad spend, I want you to start thinking about how are you going to allocate 10% of your annual income back into showcasing and marketing your business on the platform where your target audience is spending the most time. For Skylar, it would be Instagram and TikTok. For me, it would be Facebook and LinkedIn. And so you have to have a business plan. And I believe that real estate agents have gotten away from having a business plan. A business plan is what has predicted my 27-year career with consistent growth.
These faceless videos is a very interesting topic. I like that one. Videos are a great way to utilize social media. Now, what do you think the key to starting is? What kind of content should an agent start with if they're just beginning? Is there a way to find the right audience?
In order for agents to get the audience that they're looking for, leveraging video content, I want them to start with google.com/trends to see how people are searching. Let's go back to the answer engine optimization and the generative engine optimization. You want to talk to buyers and sellers, investors, and potential tenants in the manner in which they're searching. So we're going to start with google.com/trends. Once I know what people desire, I can then take that information over to ChatGPT or Claude, and I can have it to create a video script with hooks for me. Now I get the opportunity to decide if I'm going to film or if I'm going to do a property tour with video overlay, or do I create an AI video, or do I take a behind the scenes clip and do audio overlay? The possibilities are endless. But if an agent does not want to be seen, you don't have to. My son is leveraging property tours with voice overlay, and that is how he is generating 1,700 leads per year with no ad spend. But video is vital, and it's not just the video. So let me say this. You want to have video. You need a landing page. You need an item of value, and you need a follow-up system. All of this can be set up over the course of one weekend, and then you need to be consistent in your video creation. But you're not going to be able to put out great content that can potentially go viral and secure a lead unless you have all of the components set up. So taking 24 to 48 hours away from your business, setting that time aside to just set up the systems to automate. And here's what's amazing. So my son took the time away from his business. I've taken the time away from my business. We have 265 agents in the city of Chicago. Our brokerage has done over $3 billion in residential sales. With that being said, those that are the most successful are the people who took the time away to automate these funnels. What I will tell you is that once you automate your systems, all you have to do is create the video content, because they'll comment, it'll auto respond, it'll send them a link to your landing page. They come to your landing page, they opt in, it delivers an item of value, and then you already have a 36-part email sequence set up that will nurture them over the course of the year. And that is the agent who will be able to increase their business. Shut down your business for 48 hours. To focus on one funnel that will fuel your business for years in the future. And then you take this one activity that will act as a trigger to essentially let all the dominoes fall in your favor.
So, what's one thing that you've done recently that has made a long term positive impact that you've automated for your business?
I let everyone know that I'm a mid-aged overweight woman who has finally invested in physical activity. I get up every morning. I do not like waking up before 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. I drive 30 minutes to Pilates. I take a 50-minute Pilates class. I drive 30 minutes back. I have been consistent since the second week of November 2025. While that is occurring, all of my content is being created for me in my voice, my style, and my tone. One piece of content. In our brokerage, we have a lot of people who are part-time. That means that I have a dual career content that is created in my voice, my style, my tone that tells them exactly what they need to do on that given day in order to build their real estate business while they still have a job. I have a private membership group, 6 figures in 12 months. I can teach any real estate agent exactly what content they need to fuel a 6-figure to 7-figure business. Every single day, I am having my AI coach dictate what the steps are for that day. So I leverage AI to generate all of my content, and then I do what is called a human in the loop. I need to read, and I'm reading substantially more now, anything before I allow the public to see it, because I don't want to jeopardize my license, my membership in the National Association of Realtors, or federal, state, local, county, and city fair housing rules and regulations. Therefore, you have to be the human in the loop. I'm talking to real estate agents and they wanted to just automate. I will tell you, you're jeopardizing your license if you do that. You have to have someone who is going to oversee the content. And so now I've reclaimed 2 hours of my day. And for the first time, I am committed to a physical activity that brings me joy.
Oh, good for you. That's inspiring. A lot of agents struggle with work life balance, and it's great that automation and AI are helping you, and I'm sure other agents, to achieve more in all of their lives. Is there a specific trend in social media or marketing right now that you find really interesting or surprising?
I'm going to be honest with you. I am not shocked a lot about any marketing trend that I'm seeing. Because I started using technology due to the 2006 profile of buyers and sellers, the only thing that did take me by surprise is that the first page of Google is dead and that people aren't clicking on links. I did not know that when I started using ChatGPT in December of 2022, that it would change how people search, and that what I had been preaching for 20 years would have this level of impact. But what I don't think that a lot of people take serious is the fact that there needs to be a level of consistency and they need to have a niche. Because there are so many tools and things are changing every single day, I see people are actually more scattered when they should have a niche. They should know exactly who they serve, where they serve them, and they should leverage these tools in order to dominate one thing. People want to serve all people. Well, there's no it's riches in niches, right? You're not going to get rich serving every person. And if an agent was to be honest with themselves and they look just at their local marketplace, either city and or zip code, promise you that they know the name of the top producer and exactly what the top producer does, because top producers own a niche and a location. So leveraging the tools in order to dominate a niche. You've heard me say throughout our call, I talk about menopause. Well, you know why? Because I know that I am serving a female dominated industry that is going through menopause. The number one age of an agent this year is 57 years of age. I know that on Facebook and on Instagram, my audience, 80% female, number one age, 45 to 55 years of age. And so I pivoted how I talk to women because I know that they can leverage these tools and that AI can do for them what hormone replacement therapy cannot. And guess what? I had to get to menopause to understand that. And so I'm doing everything for that group of people, honing in on what's important to them in order to build rapport. That's the same way I'm leveraging artificial intelligence.
And what would you say the most important prompts to feed your AI systems is to get the right results, to make them understand who your audience is, who you are, and what your voice is?
I actually created my own tool called the Realpreneur Prompt Maker. You cannot use one word, single sentence prompts in order to build a system. When I'm talking about my work being done for me every single day, I have prompts that range from 1 page to 4 pages that I am telling the AI every step to take and the order in which I want it to take those steps. Therefore, for about 24 months, not only inside of ChatGPT, but also inside of Gemini AI, in one platform I have tasks set up, in the other platform I have schedules set up. It automates my work because I am giving it 1 page to 4 page prompts, but I don't just give it 1 page to 4 page prompts. I feed it the best information possible. So the NAR strategic plan, the profile of buyers and sellers, the profile of brokers, the opportunity report from Stefan Swabenpoel. Because you can attach files, I have a 2026 resource folder with all of the different statistics and reports from these different entities. And then I give it the prompt. But here's the thing. Once I feed it the reports and I give it the prompt, I set it up to automate. And so I'm setting something up once that will run, some of them now 2 years, and save me the 2 hours per day, which is why I can tell you to take 24 to 48 hours away from your business to set the systems up, because they will automate and give you will actually earn more money for today every single day that you leverage the automation moving forward.
Now, Marki, is that a practice you look at again on a regular basis, like quarterly or at the beginning of every year? Or do you change things as you see the market shifting?
I believe I use a phrase, active lifelong learner. AI is changing every single day. Therefore, you cannot just set it and leave it. So I usually come home in the winter months and spend a lot of time in Chicago in my office. However, I'm going back, analyzing new tools, new phrases, and updating what are going to be my schedules, my tasks, my projects, my gyms. All of these there's something different on each platform, because what I have essentially done is I've created $300,000 worth of employees or independent contractors in my company for $240 per year. Now is not the time to just look at your business plan once. You want to come back and sit down every single month to review, because there might be something better right now that you want to implement. There could be a new trend. I'll give you an example. I live in Chicago, which is inside of Cook County. When the second installment tax bill came out, there was a substantial increase. My real estate property taxes, along with, I would probably say 60% of Cook County, saw their tax bills double. What we're likely going to see come the fall of 2026 that you would not have seen in January of 2026 is the amount of homeowners who are going to have a notice of default filed on their property because they don't have the money to pay for the tax increase. But this is a different notice of default than what we saw in the foreclosure crisis. They're not going to be doing a short sale. They have equity in their property. So now we're going to do retain equity, right? That's something similar, but you're not going to see that in January. You're going to see that after they've missed multiple payments, that the notice of default will be filed in the county where the property is located. If you rent, your landlord has seen an increase, which they are going to funnel down to the tenant when it comes time for lease renewal. So we're not going to we're not keeping that. You know what I'm saying? No, we're going to they're going to go back and people might not be able to rent from the place that they were currently renting.
If agents haven't gotten started with making video for social media content yet, what's a great way to start? With a prompt, with an idea?
Is there a video prompt? Yes, but I would start with google.com/trends to see how consumers are searching. And then I would put into that script the zip code that I want to dominate, who that target audience is, because it's not going to be the same prompt for every person. Leverage the data to create a better video script for you, but you want to talk to consumers the way in which they're searching.
It's great to have these tools to simplify your business and keep you in the know. What are some other pieces of advice that you would give to agents to stay ahead of things that are affecting the whole real estate climate and their careers?
When I think about the economic changes, one, my business was changed because of the 2006 profile of buyers and sellers. And so I am definitely reading all of the reports, Dr. Lawrence Yun, and what our other economists have to say. But I am also very closely tied to my community as a federal political coordinator. I'm spending a lot of time at the University of Chicago Polsky Center, which is essentially their incubator. I know who my local alderwoman is and who are all of the political influences in the city of Chicago. They want to start with what is going on in their area. This comes back to identifying what that zip code is. Once you identify that zip code, then the next question is, who is your alderperson or your council person, right? And then who's your congressman? So I serve my local congressman, because they also have additional insight. But if they were to go over to RPR, I would want for them to pull a commercial trade data report that is going to tell them what they need to know about that specific zip code and the changes and the trends, but also taking that vetted data over to a chat GPT to ask it additional questions, or to Notebook LM to ask it additional questions. And so you're not going to have one data source. You're going to have multiple data sources that I want. Some of these reports come out annually, and some of them you need to pull consistently. One thing about leveraging RPR or InfoSparks is they give you what is called a dynamic link. That means that that dynamic link is updating that report in 24 or 48-hour intervals. So you don't have to go back in to pull the report once you have the dynamic link, but you do need to refresh yourself on the dynamic link.
You mentioned you have a big office, about 200 to 300 independent contractors. And are these the types of practices that you recommend to them, even if somebody is new and hasn't worked with AI tools before?
So with our real estate agents, we have an abundance of training. So we have 3 to 5 trainings every single week. We have a very large tech stack that our real estate agents can leverage. So I would say you have to have ongoing education face-to-face and virtually, making sure that you're archiving all of your recordings. In addition to that, I do a quarterly live training in conjunction with the University of Chicago Polsky Center as a value add back to the community in which I live in. I also have a private membership group. So every single month I'm doing a master class, and I'm also doing a monthly group live coaching class. I'm always, and even our brokerage is always leading with education. And you have to train people on the tools and different ways to leverage that tool to maximize it. The tools were designed, technology and innovation, in order to shave time off of our day. But we have to implement and leverage these tools consistently in order for them to work, because none of them work by themselves. So training, I'm going to lead back with education and training.
Well, that leads us to the topic of CRS designations. I think it's a great way to get continuous education. It's a community of people who appreciate and strive to stay on top of the latest information. Can you talk a little about what appealed to you about the CRS designation and the connections you've made being a part of this organization?
I've had the great opportunity to be a CRS designee now for 2 decades. And the reason was because I quickly realized that the pre-license course does not teach you how to sell real estate, and that I did not know anything. So I earned the CRS relatively early in my real estate career, leveraging other credentials, but also leveraging the previous education and experience that I had, not only as a loan originator, but also as a broker. I wanted to be with like-minded people with the pinnacle of education in real estate. And now I'm even a officially retired CRS instructor. What I will tell you, I talked about a business plan earlier. It is the CRS class that gave me that foundation business plan that I am still preaching to people. CRS is what taught me about reverse prospecting and so many other great tools on pricing. And these are tools that I've now have had the opportunity to leverage for 2 decades in my business. A lot of people do not realize that the pre-license course does not teach you how to build and or run a profitable real estate business. And when I talk about profitable, I pay myself on gusto. I have a SEP, a Roth, a 401k. I will be financially eligible to retire on July the 31st, 2033. So if I don't want to get up the next day, I don't have to. It is the CRS tools that I implemented in my business, and I am always running at a 56% profitability, which then means once I get to my profit, I can then go and also reinvest the other money. I came into real estate because I wanted to feel like a stay-at-home mom and earn an above average income as an unwedded mother. Real estate and CRS allowed me the opportunity to send my oldest son to Howard University and have no student loan debt as a result. The tools work if you consistently implement them, and that is why I value having the CRS designation.
Thanks so much for sharing that. It's important to hear success stories and everyone's motivations of all of our agents who have benefited and grown their careers being a part of RRC. Now, going back to AI and thinking about where the real estate market is headed in the future, what do you think is the biggest misconception that agents have right now?
There are a lot of misconceptions around AI, but I think that people think that it is going to disappear, not keeping in mind that artificial intelligence is fueling every Fortune 500 company. This is how I would love for real estate agents to think about AI. If you've ever invested in an organization, if you have any stock, you want your stock to perform well. One of the ways that every company that disseminates or has stock is able to grow is because they're leveraging AI. The same way that you want a return from the stock, you want a return from yourself and from your business. It is crazy to think that these companies are going to give you a return and not leverage the best-in-class technology that you have access to, often for free or as low as $20 per month. It is not going to go anywhere. It is cost effective. And I want you to think of yourself like a Fortune 500 company and note that everything that you are invested in, that you've purchased from someone else, they are likely leveraging AI to provide a return or to enhance the product or service in which they are providing you.
And what would you say are skills or habits that would set top agents apart?
When I think about my agents that stand out, and we're going to just look at the top 10 out of 265, consistency is the one thing that separates them from every other agent in our company. They have conditioned themselves to do boring things consistently. The money in real estate is made in doing the boring things consistently, but everyone is attracted to what is glamorous. I will tell you, what is glamorous often is not the money maker. But they've also committed to putting out video content. Therefore, not only do I want you to be consistent, I want you to think about video, and they leverage the customer relationship management system. Those are the three things, and they own their niche. So you know what they do and where they do it. If they continue to do that, they have already started the year off right. That means that those that were top producers last year are also top producers this year. And that is because in 2026, they bought the habit of consistency with them.
And looking ahead, are there any emerging tech trends that you're really excited about?
When I think about tech trends that are emerging, I will tell you that I have practiced them. So I'm loving AI twins and AI videos. I am loving AI automation. The one that I've used probably the most recently is vibe coding, the ability to code any app to solve all of the problems of mid-aged women and those that are in real estate. Vibe coding right now, you can create whatever your heart desired by speaking it into existence. And when I think about one of my productivity hacks, we all speak 3 to 4 times faster than we would ever type, text, or write. 2026, two things you will see in offices are microphones on desk for audio input because it's going to make you 3 to 4 times faster. And you will see what looks like a modern day phone booth, considered a dictation booth, for people to go in to use the microphone in absolute silence to get their ideas out faster.
Everything being dictated, I see that that would be beneficial as a time-saving device. Can you touch on the risk management aspect of that, though, too? It's great to adopt all these new tools. What is required as a human touch point to oversee everything before it's sent out into the world?
When I think about where are humans today in the AI world, I'm going to bring you back to having a human in the loop. Yes, I have 2 hours of my work performed for me so that I can go take Pilates. And when I come back, it is done. However, I must read it before I share it with the public. There might be a stat that I think is unrealistic, a tone in which I don't want to take, a potential violation of fair housing rules and regulations. You still need to be accountable because you are the human with the license. Most states, there is a penalty for practicing real estate without a license. Therefore, you want to make sure that you're not leaving your work up to AI that can potentially have errors. None of these tools are perfect tools. I'm spending more time reading and vetting the data than ever before, but I'm able to cut the time that it took to create, to force me to think differently. And let me tell you what else I love about this part, though. Every time I'm reading the information, it's giving me new ideas. Therefore, my mind is expanded because it's thinking about what I've given it in a different way. Therefore, every time I sit down, and this is daily, that I'm reading, I'm also learning something new, but it is allowing me to expand on the niche and the area at a faster rate than the competition. You must be actively involved in the creation and out of what AI does.
Do you have any other comments about where the market is headed in 2026 or advice so that agents can stay profitable, doing what they love without getting bogged down into the challenges that come with this market?
When I think about 2026, there's a lot going on in the media. I am the person who is laser beam focused on my business. I do not allow the media to take over my day. I'm going to go to Pilates. I'm going to come home. I'm going to sit at my desk. I'm going to put my phone to the side. And I am going to put out content. Whether that content gets great engagement today does not mean it won't get great engagement next month or sometimes in 3 years, which I have seen in the past. In order to remain profitable, I need you to start putting out content every single day. Put out 1,066 words for every $100,000 you want to earn. Keeping in mind that a picture's worth 1,000 words and 1 minute of video is worth 1.8 million words. Roughly 10 years ago, I said that I was going to do what a large portal doesn't do, and that is to have 2 feet on the ground in the community in which I say that I serve, to put video online every single day. What I will tell you is that that portal has failed to do that yet, which allowed me staying power and high visibility in the communities on the south side of the city of Chicago. If it works for me, it will work for you because there is more than enough to go around for everyone. But consistency is key. I am more consistent, more productive as the result of AI than my competitors, and now I have 20 years of online data. 20 years ago, if you would have Googled my name, I would have come up fewer than 10 times. Today, I dominate the internet for what it is that I say I do and where I say I do it.
And that was my next question. Where can people find you online, Marki? And as you said, if you Google your name, I'm sure many, many things come up just because of the consistency of your content.
How can you find me online? Just so happen I am the only Marki Lemons in the world. I am Marki Lemons Ryhal, which is even a more unique last name. Therefore, if you spell my name correctly, you will find me online. Markilemons Ryhal. Ryhal. I am the only one, which means I am dominating the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth page of Google. Plus, if you go over to ChatGPT and type me in, you will also find me.
We're about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience today?
Yes, I would. In closing, I would like to let you know that today is the day for you to start creating content so that you can be in the palm of the hand of the consumer. Time is of the essence. This is not something that you want to put off, as search has changed, and those that are consistently creating content will long-term reduce the cost of doing business in real estate.
It's been our pleasure today to be with Marki Lemons Ryhal on the Real Estate Real Talk podcast to get to learn from her. Thank you so much for being with us, Marki. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Real Estate Real Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, crs.com/realtalk, to your friends and colleagues. Please leave us a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast, and be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous episodes. This has been a Residential Real Estate Council production. Join us next time for another edition of Real Estate Real Talk.